What's up, guys? Capital G here. Basically, we got Nats coming up this weekend. I will not be at Nats, unfortunately. I just don't have the money. If it was on the East Coast, I would go when I make partner. Hopefully, I'll be able to afford to go to more events like that. So you guys can help with that by subbing. A couple interesting things happened to me this week. I ran into Paz Joker twice on the YVD chat. I introduced myself, told him about my YouTube channel, asked if I get a shout out. He said he would give me a shout out if I could beat him in a duel. I was like, all right, that's fine. That's actually pretty reasonable. I know he's like a Lightsworn fanatic, so I was like, all right, well, I'm going to bust out my GB deck. Both times I talked to him, the servers were down, so I haven't actually been able to play him, so that's kind of crappy because I know I want that shout out from him. So if you watch this pause, I am going to play you, and the servers will not be down forever, and I'm going to beat you, and it's that simple. I ran into J Kim like 2 days ago also. I was playing Happy Herald, and he was playing X-Sabers. It's obviously not that favorable of a matchup for Herald because they can get Gotems out really easy, and it's like one of maybe 4 or 5 outs in the game to Herald to perfection. That's exactly what happened in games 1 and 2. Game 1, he ended up he had Urbellum on the field. He hit me with Urbellum before I dropped Herald. I dropped Herald next turn, but I only had like 2 cards in my hand because obviously the Urbellum hit. That hurt. Next turn, he rips like Parcel. He ends up summoning for Gotems, running it over, and blah, blah, blah. Game 2, he had like 5 cards in his hand, and then he had like 2 cards face down on the field. I didn't have Decree, which sucked ass, and I had Herald. I had four fairies in the graveyard, and I had Christia, but I had like 1 more card in my hand or something like that. So I was thinking if I could get through 1 more turn, I could drop Christia, get a fairy back, and I'm good. Otherwise, I summon Christia, he Torrentials, Mirror Force, I'm fucked. He ended up not letting me get through that turn. He ended up baiting out. I think he had Mind Control and Brain Control set, no traps. So I was like, oh god, So he ended up winning that game. 2 shout outs. East Coast Dueling channel. They're some really good guys. I just met them this week. They sent me a message. Watch their stuff. They've got a lot of good duels up using the top meta decks. They also sell decks too. I mean, sometimes I know, me personally, you just want to watch some good decks play on YouTube, see how other people's would play hands and stuff like that, as opposed to you would. I know personally I love watching Infernities play. I think it's like watching the Lakers play. Sometimes they get content and they can not feel threatened and end up losing, and then sometimes they're just firing on all cylinders and it's like no show on earth. You just can't stop them because they're that good. And then Mr. Judge Pro, he's got a YouTube. I've owed him a shout out for forever, so if you guys would go ahead and check those 2 out. J-Cam really impressed me. I mean, goddamn, that ass whooping was just terrible. I mean, I'm not skeptical or anything. I've always known he was good, but I guess I kind of experienced it firsthand. And then, oddly enough, he subbed to me on YouTube like yesterday. What is up with that? Beat my ass and sub to me. Okay, so anyways, I'm going to go over the decks I think will be the most successful at Nats. The decks you'll see the most of. And then just some tech choices. I was looking through my comment pile. I seen some interesting techs maybe. A lot of these cards, if you hit them early enough, they can win the game against any of these decks. And just give you some predictions on Nationals too. Okay, so this is the big 4. These are the 4 decks that I think you will see the most of and be the most successful. First, of course, we've got Infernity. We've got Gladiator Beast, second. Third, we've got Herald of Perfection. The Jeff Jones version, not like what Russ ran at YCS Virginia. I tested that version. It's actually pretty crappy. A lot of people didn't know how to play it. Jeff Jones' version looks horrible on paper, but oh my goodness, it is so freaking amazing. I love this deck. And then you've got Sabers. Basically, Texas's little baby. Everybody from Texas plays it. And at the Clash at YCS Chicago, you saw a lot of the American players favored X-Sabers. The Canadian players favored Infernity. What I think is going to happen at Nationals. I think Infernity are going to have a lot of momentum going in because they won Canadian Nationals. I think that in America, they're not as good as they would be in Canada, and Canada is flooded with them because they're more committed to Infernities than we are. So I think that is going to give the edge to X Sabers. These two decks in the middle, I think, are going to do really well. I think, first off, because Herald of Perfection, a lot of people don't know what to do when you drop Herald. They kind of freeze up. A lot of people don't know to stay calm. Yes, there are only a couple answers to it. I mean, there's Gothams, which this deck can do easily. There's Chariot and Herc. In Glad Beast, if you get the opportunity, if Herald gives you maybe a turn to set up, they're not playing a turbo version or they don't drop it, since they have a bad hand, you've got to go in the second sword and you've got to drop Herc, because if you drop Herc, you win. Because all you need to do is negate Advanced Ritual Art or Dawn of the Herald, and they can't win. Doesn't matter how many cards they have. So I think both of these decks will top 8. Maybe this will top 16. Glads are gonna top 8. I'll say that now. Glads are gonna top because it's gonna be just like last year. Last year I actually made a prediction. I said that in the Cat era, when everybody was like, "Oh, Cat's gonna win," nothing but Cat's gonna be there. I said Glads will probably end up winning because no one will side for them. They're always going to be good, and they have a decent matchup versus everything. I think I can't see Glads winning, but I could easily see them getting second or third. Last year, I think the same thing that happened last year is going to happen this year. You take a really good player who knows Glads in and out, like Conahem, who basically may have a favorable draw. Glad's worst deck by far, or their worst matchup by far, is X Sabers. I think you're gonna get that one Glad player. Maybe it'll be Conahem again. Maybe it would be Chris Bowling or something like that. One of those guys out of Texas who is gonna maybe play 2 X Saber decks all day. Maybe lose to one, end up making day 2, and probably not having to play one again until like top 4. And I mean, everything else is relatively easy for Gladiator Beast to beat. Except for Sabers. Sabers is a nightmare matchup. So I really think Glads are poised to make a really deep run in Nationals. I think they're going to get second or third. It's really hard for me to see them winning because the number 1 deck played there will be X Sabers. Eventually, they will have to play X Sabers, and I just don't think they're going to win. I think Infernity is going to top 8. I don't know if it wins. If it wins by some sheer I don't even know what to say, but if it wins, I think it's going to be some complete Randy. It's going to be some complete Randy who like got his invite in like Salem, Oregon or some shit like that. He draws just the fucking nuts every time. I think that's exactly how this deck's going to win because a lot of our best players in the US just are not committed to this deck. They're committed to Sabers. Sabers will make up a big bulk of the top. I think you're going to have people from Texas. I'm going to have to steal a little quote from J. Kim, who basically play versions like they did before, where you kind of run a whole bunch of tech in hopes of drawing it. It's like running one of everything. Like you run Monk, you run Sangan, you run Thunder King, you run Crow, you run one version of Oppression. You run a bunch of ones of everything so that you can draw one of anything in any situation so that you can get to it really quickly. So yeah, I think these guys will win. These guys will top 16, maybe top 8. This will get second or third. This will top 8. There's a high possibility of a Saber mirror match. Yeah.